Get It Straight podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into the tools, strategies, and insights that help orthodontic practices thrive. I'm Jason Sroten, and today we have a packed episode on efficiency and maximizing resources in orthodontic practices. Joining me is my amazing co-host, Caroline Hosey. Hey, Caroline, how are you?
I'm doing great today.
Awesome. We're also excited to have two fantastic guests from Cedar. They're here to talk about their product, Cedar for Ortho. They're a company that's doing groundbreaking work in helping practices streamline their operations. Please welcome Anastasiia, Director of Commercial Strategy, and Lora, VP of Commercial Strategy. And of course, Caroline's going to help share some incredible marketing news to the show. How are you doing, ladies?
Doing awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
It's really great to have you. I know that there's a lot going on in the orthodontic space. Why don't we just jump right in? Efficiency is a buzzword in practice management, but from your perspective, why is it so crucial for orthodontic practices, and how does it impact both the patient experience and business outcomes?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. Efficiency is on top of the mind for healthcare industry overall and for orthodontics in particular. It is interesting that last month, I think the American Association of Orthodontists published an article saying that 50% of practices mentioned that staff turnover is one of the crucial problems that they are experiencing. And that just tells us the size of the problem, right? And that the efficiency has to be addressed. We know that to address that, Cedar offers a lot of the solution that would allow not only to make orthodontic practice staff more productive, but also automate a lot of mundane tasks as well. And another problem that we see orthodontic practices facing is that a lot of the solutions are targeted towards one specific problem. So let's say treatment presentation or collections or payments. So orthodontic practice staff has to deal with all these different multiple tools. And we at Cedar are trying to offer all-in-one solution that would allow orthodontic practices to focus on what matters.
So let's start at the top. What is Cedar, and what is Cedar Cedar for Ortho?
Yeah. So we as a business, Cedar, we've been around for 8 years. We have built tons of solutions in what we like to call the patient financial billing and communication space, really patient financial engagement. To date, we have served between 50 and 60 health systems, providers, processing over $2 billion in patient payments and reaching 30 million patients. And so through these digital tools and the engagement and results that we've driven for our healthcare clients, we saw an opportunity to further expand into adjacent markets like dental and orthodontics. And about a year ago, we were approached by a large organization that had a challenge in collecting from their patients, specifically their orthodontic patients. And we said to ourselves, hey, this is something we have a lot of expertise in. Our existing solution with health systems is driving improvement in collections. On average, our health system practices see about a 20 to 30% lift in their patient collections. And so we said, this is a great opportunity for us to look at the orthodontic market and see how we can apply our expertise here. And so we've had some really early success with that patient payment solution in the orthodontic market. Specifically, it's around managing self-funded payment plans for the orthodontic segment to help patients really self-serve, strike this really interesting balance between practices needing to take action. We give practices the tools in which they can take action to reach their patients, but by and large, we're giving patients a lot of hands-on tools so that they can manage their payment plans and reduce the impact that it has on staff managing. And so the second piece where we're going with the solution from the payment plan piece is in treatment plan acceptance. We believe that showing a really clear treatment presentation, showing clear financial options is the best way to get patients to accept and consent to care and treatment, because you remove a lot of that the confusion and complexity that comes with such a big financial decision. And so that is really the crux of Cedar for Ortho. I would say if there are two things to take away of what does Cedar for Ortho do, it's we're looking to drive treatment plan acceptance while managing keeping payment plans on track.
I love that one sentence button that really helps everybody like put it into focus. I know right now, like everyone is focused on ROI, and I'm sure Caroline can speak to this on the ortho side. Orthodontists, they care about ROI. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys measure ROI and what you're seeing on the orthodontic side? I know you just said 20 to 30% increase on collections. What does that mean in terms of like how much your product costs?
Yeah, so when it comes to the Cedar for Ortho solution, when we look at ROI, we're really digging into measuring those two value levers that I talked about. So, a lot of the exercises that we're going through with our practices is how are you thinking about case acceptance before Cedar? How might you think about it with Cedar? So that we have a really clear baseline in which we can evaluate, ultimately trying to demonstrate a growth in top line revenue. On the patient collection side, it's really similar as we look at what were your patient collections before and how have they improved with Cedar? So the practices that we're working with right now have, and I know this is what really strong performing practices are seeing, is above a 90% collections rate. And so we're looking to sustain or outperform any previous collections rate. And the details, obviously, each practice, there are a lot of different ways that practices measure that. So we're looking to drive consistency so that we're comparing apples to apples because ROI is such a key part of what we're doing. And so, as part of that, part of our pricing is actually really ROI driven, where we're looking to have what we call an aligned incentive model with our practices, where we take a contingency fee or a percentage of what we collect, which holds us accountable to both driving that top line revenue through improved treatment plan performance as well as that collections performance, where we're accountable because we're only taking a piece of what has actually been processed through our system.
I love that shared risk model. It's a nice model because it does allow people to feel like everybody's got a little skin in the game. Um, Cedar Ortho has been helping practices increase cases and acceptance. Can you share with us some of the ways the platform addresses these challenges head on? And what's your approach to overcoming patient hesitations around costs?
Yeah, so some of the challenges that we see associated with treatment case presentation is that around 30% of patients do not accept care at all. So this is surprising. That can differ from practice to practice. So it's not similar across the board. But what it tells us is that a lot of the patients, they really need some time to like think through the very expensive treatment and to discuss with their spouse and etc. And what happens is that a treatment coordinator has to call the patient and follow up with the patient and explain on a call this different treatment options. This is really hard to comprehend. And we at Cedar created in-office and out-of-the-office treatment presentation that actually helps patients to access the same treatment presentation that they had in the office and on their own time to discuss and like choose whatever options work for them. So this was really great. And in addition to that, for treatment coordinators, that mean that they don't have to chase patients anymore. They don't have to call them. Everything is automated. They are just notified when the patient accepts the care. And this is a beautiful innovation and improvement. And we think that this in-office and out-of-the-office presentation tool set really helps to create this continuous patient experience.
That's interesting. Um, so let's talk about marketing because we have Caroline here. Caroline, you work closely with orthodontic practices on their marketing strategies. What are some effective ways practices can grow their pipeline and turn leads into patients? Because, you know, it's you do one thing, you get that lead in the door, but now you got to kind of transform it. And I'd love to hear what Anastasia and Laura think about this too from their perspective.
Yeah, so we'll kind of start from the beginning, and then I think it all kind of ties together. Like there's like the seamless synergy kind of between where we start and then where Cedar comes in. For us, where we start with our orthodontic practices is we do an evaluation of a really fun, kitschy concept that we call authority. Authority basically translates to digital marketing authority for orthodontists. There's 4 pillars for us to be able to measure this. The first is SEO. You got to meet people where they're looking to solve the problem on search engines. We want your website to be the one recommended when someone's asking about cost of treatment. We want your website to come up when they're looking for the best Invisalign provider in their city, or et cetera. So that's the first kind of indicator. But let's say they find you, that's great news. The next is the patient experience, which I think really ties into kind of what Cedar does, but we want to build that from the forefront and create that first impression. So on the website, we want to have a very clear brand identity, which means please do not have photos of an empty office or stock photography of that same girl everybody has on their website. We need to have real patient photography, real practice photography. I want to be able to see a clear mission and value statement, and also brand differentiators really shown not just on the website, but also through social media posts and social media content. The third pillar that we have is reviews and online reputation. So we provide consulting for our clients to help them be able to use tools to generate more patient reviews. We also do a competitor analysis so they can set benchmarks so they can stand apart from their competition. So reviews and reputation is also huge into building and solidifying trust in that initial stage when they're deciding what practice to go with. And then the fourth is your social media presence. Social media, while it can generate leads, it's really important to keep those leads in your pipeline engaged. So when you have those ones that are still maybe considering their treatment option plans that Cedar provides, we can also reinforce the brand and like how maybe fun and friendly the practice is, or maybe how high tech a practice is, and just use those differentiators by like distributing really great content on social. And then once you have that pipeline, I really identify a lot with Cedar's platform and automation. Automation is a huge buzzword right now. We partner with a platform called Lead Sigma. Lead Sigma is a CRM, which can really help clients kind of keep an idea of the leads in their pipeline and what stage they're at. So I imagine, coupled with Cedar, like having those 2 tools at your forefront could really help improve case acceptance.
What have you guys seen on your end? See, I'm guessing on the agency side, we get a whole different perspective because people aren't complaining the same way to us. What are you guys seeing as some hurdles, and how are people becoming more successful with marketing from your perspective?
That's an area that we've deliberately started working closer with practices on, but really want to leave the practices, allow them to maintain that expertise. I think, as Caroline said it really succinctly, we kind of view ourselves as the picking up of where the leads have been generated. And we want to make sure that we're optimizing, once a lead comes in the door, that we're optimizing the chance that they're going to convert, so that you're not wasting a ton of time building top of funnel as the practice, but not seeing an effective funnel actually get carried through from acceptance through to payment. So that's where I think there's a lot of awesome synergies and complements across some of the work that we do, that if you have a really great top of funnel lead generation engine, we want to plug in there to make sure that you're maximizing to the greatest extent that you can.
I think all of you could probably answer this question, but what role does effective communication, do you think, play in getting leads to that consultation stage? And what are some of the best practices around that? Caroline, I'll start with you.
Okay, yeah. So I believe that having a good brand experience at the forefront will help patients know what to expect. And that can really build more loyalty and solidify their decision when they come in through the practice. I also really believe in fast, prompt communication, because we all live in the Amazon culture where you get a package and it comes like the next day. So I really believe that having really swift follow-up with leads can also really solidify and help you kind of stand apart from that competitor when they're shopping around for different options.
Anastasiia?
Yeah, we are great supporters of personalized experience. And that's what we do with our product as well. And we agree that it's not enough to just get a patient into the door. The communication that is following is also very important, because if they had this beautiful experience in socials, and see the ads, and they were so attracted to the practice and wanted to work with them. But then they came and the presentation is happening in the room. They leave with a pile of paper. That is just not the experience that you want to provide to your patients. And we are trying to digitize and make it as modern as possible.
And Laura, if you have anything, I know you guys are coming from a little bit of the same angle.
Yeah, I think everything has been covered. I couldn't add more better.
Okay. I thought so. I didn't want to leave you by if there was something. Let's talk about creating a good new patient experience. The new patient experience is critical in turning a lead into a long-term patient. How can practices ensure that the first interaction a patient has is positive, and how does that carry through to case acceptance, do you think? I'll take it, Anastasia.
Yeah, so same here that I think I mentioned already is so current patient, today's patient is very digital savvy, right? So we are all used to online purchases, like same day delivery and stuff like that. And it feels like in healthcare, in orthodontics specifically, it left the industry behind a little bit, and it's still patients are experiencing like dealing with paper and calls for like collection calls when they need to pay their bills. And how we address that and how we manage that is that we automate, as we said, we automate a lot. We have a very user friendly and very simple presentation of the cases without any extra details, just focusing on what matters. And that ultimately helps to improve the experience and make the decision much faster.
Laura, how are Cedar's orthos the tools making the process easier for patients?
Yeah, I would add that one of the things that we want to make sure is part of the treatment coordinator or practice relationship with their patients is trust. And so we look at our tools as a facilitation between a financial conversation that the treatment coordinator or practice may be having with the patient. And no patient wants to walk away feeling like I've been sold something to, or I'm not clear on what I'm getting or why it costs this. We've all had that experience in our day-to-day lives, and it's not a positive one. And so the objective of Cedar for Ortho's tooling in driving that experience is to build a tool that facilitates that trusting relationship. Every single practice we've spoken to has made it a point to tell us that orthodontics is fundamentally a relationship-based business. And we don't want to get in the way of that. We just want to make it easier for both sides to have that trusted relationship and dialogue. And so something as simple as a tool that a patient can start to manipulate to understand different financial components, or if I pay this amount, what might it look like? Or allowing them to actually see the screen that their treatment coordinator is using, or having a digital engagement that they can self-serve on. These really simple things that, as both Caroline and Anastasia mentioned, are very commonplace with our digital savvy consumer in day-to-day life. Bringing those elements into this bi-directional conversation, making it very dynamic, will help build trust and therefore augment what the current patient experience looks like today.
1 month into an engagement, what can a practice expect?
Yeah, what we're looking for is we want their staff to be happy, first and foremost. Happy staff will make for happy patients, will create that really strong bi-directional trust-based relationship. And if the staff, and we've heard really great feedback from staff that, this is a home run, this is the type of thing that my treatment coordinators want to have in their hand, it's facilitating those great patient conversations. And ultimately, the staff being happy means that they're driving successful outcomes, both in terms of presenting cases and setting people up for payment success. So that's really what we're looking at is, are the teams happy? Do they feel like this is a sustainable long-term solution for them? And is their happiness derived from feeling like they're able to be successful in their day-to-day jobs?
Caroline, from a marketing perspective, how do you ensure that the patient's first interaction with the practice is impactful? Because you have such a short amount of time to kind of get that impression in their head of what you want them to believe.
Yeah, well, we definitely want to give them a clear expectation on what to expect. So if you ever see one of our Google ads, oftentimes we will have the consultation process bulleted out, so when a patient comes through the door, they already know like what to expect when they're going to come into that TC room and go through that exam. And I think if a client was using Cedar, it would be really cool to even have that additional information from the practice to be able to kind of outline even maybe a little bit more extra detail kind of what a patient should expect, because I believe if they know and they come and have that exact experience, that can help kind of solidify that, hey, this is exactly what I was hoping for, and will help to close that deal.
That's awesome. It sounds like a combination of operational efficiency and strong marketing strategies is the powerful way to grow a practice. You can't do just one. It's holistic. Can you guys, any of you, share a case study or two that you've worked on where you've seen it in action?
Yeah, we actually had a conversation just last week with someone who reflected, and this was where my response to the last question came from. Like, this was someone who said, my team is really happy. We're eager to just get more from Cedar into their hands. And they feel like the level of transparency that they have, both for their patients and on actually managing their business, and seeing maybe where on the payment plan side things aren't going as well. They've had the ability to intervene early, take action, work with their patients who are close customers and partners of theirs. So that was some early feedback that we had, really positive. And again, this is at one of our practices with really high payment plan performance, above that 90% rate that I mentioned at the beginning. So really thrilled to have such early, strong feedback, a month or so into partnering with someone, as you asked.
We've only got a couple minutes left. Why should someone give you guys a call and make that reach out? What is gonna happen for their practice?
Well, as we mentioned, that it may improve case acceptance and collections significantly. That would impact the bottom line of the practice. But what is even more important, and we talked a lot today about patient experience, this is a totally different level of the patient experience. We just discussed case studies. My favorite case study is a client of ours who actually was a patient at the health system that is our client, and he called Cedar because he really wanted to implement similar experiences in his practice. And I think that's exactly what we are bringing to orthodontic practices.
I love that. Do you have anything to add, Lora?
No, that's one of my favorite examples too. I'm glad you shared it, Anastasiia.
Perfect. Caroline, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that everyone's really summed up everything really great here. I think there's been a lot of really great takeaways on, having transparency, I believe from marketing all the way through the TC room, that transparency was just one of the words that I wanted to kind of take away that I think we're very aligned on.
So I want to encourage everybody to go to cedar.com/ortho, where you can go and easily request a demo. Just click that button, takes 2 seconds. It'll take you to this screen and you can just fill out 4 simple lines and boom, you're going to see how this can start you on a path to better case acceptance. I want to thank Anastasiia and Lora from Cedar with their product Cedar for Ortho. It's really changing the game for orthodontists. And I want to thank Caroline Housey. Caroline, I know. When I read it sometimes.
I have to tell you, Jay does this on every single He will introduce me to all of my clients the right way. It's Caroline Housey, but I swear to God, on podcasts, you cannot get it anywhere.
Can't. I always, because I'm reading
we've
it.
known each other for 6 years.
We have a really great editor who's used to it.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to mention a special offer for our Get It Straight listeners. If you're looking to grow your practice and optimize your marketing strategies, Brain Bytes Creative is offering a free marketing analysis valued at $5,000, completely free to our listeners. Just mention this podcast when you reach out. You can email Caroline@brainbytescreative.com for more information and claim your free analysis. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to get the expert advice on growing your practice. It's really great. Once again, I want to thank Anastasiia and Lora from Cedar and their product Cedar for Ortho for joining us today, as well as Caroline Housey from Brain Bytes Creative. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to the Get It Straight podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform for more episodes. On behalf of the team here, I'm Jason Sroden. We'll see you next time.